Hey, thanks for joining us here at our home place. And this week we're going to be thinking about the difference between a farm and a homestead and share with y'all what is developing here at our small poultry farm. So, good news first, want to share with y'all the 1998 Dodge pickup truck that has been disabled since fall or so of 2024. It is running. The guys got it running. So, yay. So, at some point, we will check in with them and get you an update on that truck and take a look at it and talk about the projects coming up with it. But it just left the driveway for a test drive. So, that is just excellent news. We've had the injector pump off of it, had basically identified on our own that was the issue. Did take the injector pump to Pennsylvania. We're in Southeast Ohio, took it to Pennsylvania for some diagnostics there and got the specifics on what the problem was. Basically, like the throttle was stuck open with that particular injector pump. And so we ended up then ordering an injector pump for the truck from a place in Kentucky and got it here, and they've got it on the truck, and the thing is finally running. So the flip side of that is we need to have the core returned to thoroughbred diesel in Kentucky. So you basically have to turn in a core to defray some of the cost of the part that you buy. And a lot of parts with trucks and vehicles are like that. There's a core deposit is what it's typically called. So in this case, because it was done with some shipping, we have a little bit of opportunity. I think it's like a 21-day window from when we received the one we got from them that we need to have the core unit returned to them, so, or sent back to them. So the injector pump we bought is on the 98 Dodge. The injector pump that came off of it previously needs to get to thoroughbred diesel to even out our core deposit and make it so that we don't owe anything further on the injector pump that we bought. I think the injector pump that we bought, I think the cost on it was about $1,400. And I think we had paid a couple $100 to have the diagnostic work done on it to figure out what exactly was going on. And the train of thought with that was if it was something that we could have fixed in the injector pump that had previously been on the truck, we would just do that. But as it turned out, it was actually less costly for us to purchase a remanufactured injector pump rather than fix the one we had. And then that one that we had, when they get it at the diesel place, they'll actually fix it and condition it, remanufacture it, and they'll have it for sale in the future. So at any rate, it's just great that that truck is running. And that's our youngest son who has that truck. Our oldest son is also working on his truck. Not sure what the project was, but had to have the windshield taken out and I think the dash taken out, and I think it's a wiring electrical issue, but he's making progress on it. So we have been talking about homesteading versus farming. Got some feedback on that. Shout out especially to Jeff B. Hey, thanks for shouting out on that question. We were asking what is the difference between homestead and a farm, and Jeff answered back really consistent with what we are also having on our mind. A farm, basically, producing food with the purpose in mind of selling it to consumers. So more or less producing food for others with the goal of turning a profit on it. Whereas a homestead, basically producing what you need for your own household. And so along those lines, also want to shout out to another viewer, YouTube handle, and I hope I pronounce this right, Zaya Uden. not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, but another YouTube handle there, viewer, commented that they're going to look it up too and do some research on that as well, and asked about some of our plans in the future. And really appreciate you watching and supporting the channel. Love the feedback from y'all and enjoy reading whatever y'all have to share with us on the feedback in the comments. But we're also on that same train of thought that, a farm operation is profit motivated, whereas a homestead venture is motivated toward what it can produce that remains in the household at the home place. So along those lines, where the farm is trying to turn a profit, trying to make money, the homestead is basically trying to produce useful things that take the place of the need for money to have to go out and purchase those things. So we really are looking at a juncture where we've been doing a poultry farm operation, and we're saying to ourselves, maybe it's time to adjust. Maybe it's time to shift, because it just is so much work for really, truly so little profit out of it. And in fact, in order to keep making the farm work well, you actually create some profit. But our experience at the scale that we've been having the poultry farm at is that you need to actually put that money back into infrastructure for the farm operation and strengthening different aspects of managing the farm operation. So in the end, you did create a lot of cash flow and you did create some profit margin, but a lot of that profit margin needs to be absorbed back into the business. And for the amount of time we're putting into it, we're really not getting that payback in that profit margin for the amount of time that it takes in our lives. And so you start to look at it from the standpoint of every day is so busy, almost to the point that with 5 adults, more or less, we have 3 young adult sons still here in the household, love having them here, know that they're, on their way to independent lives, but they really contribute like adults in the household. So with 5 adult schedules and having all of the farm management to keep up with, there's times that it's just like life is just like chaotic and overwhelming. And then we go to the point of evaluating that, and we recognize that we're kind of creating our own chaos. And so when we did numbers, what brought all this to the surface was preparing for taking everything to the accountant for taxes, because the farm is a sole proprietorship tax entity that we, prepare tax documents for just at the same time and along with our household tax preparation. And when we're running those numbers and we're looking at production overhead and the categories of expenses and how the expenses add up, and talking about ways that you could cut expenses, but recognizing that just means taking on more of the time consuming tasks, that's all bringing to the surface that we are overwhelmed by the schedule at times, but it's a schedule that we're creating. So like, we are creating the chaos. And if the alternative is to just get out of our own way and not do that, we need to take that seriously. So as much as we love what we produce, and as much as we are humbled that other people value what we produce, we also recognize that peace arrives at our doorstep every day in the form of choices. And instead of putting ourselves in a position where we're creating basically just overwhelming chaos in our lives, we need to put ourselves in a position where we are choosing peace. And it may be that we have to shift away from the for profit motivation in even a small farm, small scale farm operation, and adjust toward a homestead minded perspective where we are taking the focus off of producing profit and putting the focus on productivity that stays in the household and empowers the household to still cover all the needs but have more free time, which granted still going to require an investment of time to homestead and to produce the things that we want to have here and the lifestyle that we want to have here. But we've done the other, and we know how much time it takes to approach the for-profit farm venture. So as we're saying these things, though, we recognize 2025, yes, we could back out of the commitments, but we're basically committed to the plans for 2025 with especially the meat chickens and with some of the plans for the egg chickens. And we would still want to have some egg chickens and potentially produce some meat chickens for eggs and meat, protein that's going to stay here in the household. But as far as looking at what are we doing in the near future, as far as hatch dates for the meat birds, as far as processing dates for the meat birds, as far as, we've given our word at the feed mill where we network everything for our poultry operation that we're going to want X number of skids of feed, as far as clients that we work with who have already put in reservations for poultry as of May 1st, we're committed, at least in word and on our honor, we're committed already to carrying through with plans for the farm operation for 2025. But we honestly see in the future that we need to position ourselves differently. And one of the real eye-openers is that, as I mentioned, there's basically 5 adults living in this house. But we're aware we have 3 young adults that are in the process of making all their goals happen and determining what their goals are. And so, obviously my husband and I are permanent fixtures here, but the 3 young adult sons, they're going to have goals and things they want to do. And obviously their lives are very likely going to take them beyond this property. So, my husband and I, we have a very firm recognition that the work that gets done here is 5 adults doing it. And we feel it very acutely that if it was all of a sudden just he and I, just 2 adults doing it, we don't know that we could keep up with the work that we do. So that's another thing we have to think ahead and position for. So we will be doing poultry farm this year, 2025. We're so excited to share all of that with you. We'll actually have meat birds moving in March 12th. But with, thinking this through, one of the things that we're thinking about, like with our egg production chickens, is if we were going to keep trying to sell eggs and increase the volume of sales with that, we would definitely need to be thinking about 50 to 75 replacement hens in the near future. Whether that would be taking on more hens or whether that would be getting pullets and getting them started and getting them growing toward point of laying eggs, we would have to be doing something. So we may even start positioning ourselves to just maintain the egg subscription commitments that we have already paid, people have already paid for, and then kind of scaling that back too. So all kinds of things to think about, and we hope that you'll continue to join us and continue to share your feedback and input here on the channel. And we're going to try to share all these adventures with y'all. We love working on the diesel trucks. We want to get back to the vegetable gardening. I want to get back to flower gardening. We don't know if we'll take those things in a homestead direction or in a farm operation direction, but we hope that you'll join us and see how it all develops. So, and y'all can take that into your week with you as well. That thought that we mentioned, peace arrives at our doorsteps every morning in the form of choices. So we want to make the choices that bring us productivity and peace, and not choices that bring us chaos and overwhelming us with chaos that we create in our own lives. So here's to all of you, and here's to a peaceful, productive week for all of us. God bless y'all.